Uh, we are now joined by our second place finisher, Joey Logano. Joey, can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking some time with us. And we are going to get right into questions for you. And let's kick things off with Bob Pockers. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Joey, can you talk about why you chose the inside on that last restart? And did you think you had enough momentum to keep Truex at bay?
I chose the bottom because I've chose the bottom every time I've been the leader, and it's worked every single time. It was I was batting 1,000 on the bottom the last, I don't know, 2 years here, and was kind of actually surprised that Truex was still out there. I felt like I created enough distance down there on the bottom shortcut in the dog leg that typically I can have someone at my quarter to where I can control them. And I went down in the corner, I'm like, gosh, he's still door to door with me. So their car really accelerated really well, surprisingly well. I didn't see that one coming. So they just had a fast car, all the way through. They had a fast car from the get-go. So once they tuned it in at the end of the second stage, that 19 car was lights out. So I don't need, to be honest with you, Bob, I'm not sure even if we got in front of them in that last restart, I'm not sure I've been able to hold them off or not. It would have been a hell of a battle, but he probably would have got me eventually.
And how would you just evaluate the PJ1? Was it different than?
I really can't hear him.
What was that? I couldn't hear it. Denny, I think you're not muted.
Sorry.
You're good, man.
Can you evaluate the traction compound today? Did it come in and did it work like you thought it would?
Yeah, I mean, the traction compound was really strong in the beginning, and it seemed like, especially down in 3 and 4, towards the end of the race was less and less. It was just wearing off. So kind of what you would expect there. So, I thought towards the end of the race, you run a few laps on the bottom, 4 or 5 laps maybe on restarts before you moved up. So that was, I felt like it was pretty racy at the end.
All right, and we are also joined here by Denny Hamlin. So if you have a question for Denny as well, feel free to raise your hand. And if you're called on, just make sure you tell which driver you're speaking to. So let's take the next one from Jordan Bianchi. Go ahead, Jordan.
Hi, I have a question for both Denny and Joey. Joey, I'll start with you. Last pit stop or second to last pit stop, you said you had a power steering issue. Wondering if you can kind of elaborate on that and if it had any more bearing on the outcome or anything.
Beats me. We did have a power steering issue and it fixed itself. So never had that before. So I don't know. I guess my prayers were answered, I guess, inside the race car. I don't know. It came right back. So maybe just something with lower RPM and hot temperatures or something. I'm not sure to answer that.
Thanks. And Denny, where do you equate your performance this year for the first early part of the season compared to last year when you and Kevin Harvick were kind of dominating and winning a lot of races and leading a lot of laps every week?
I mean, our consistency is really good. I mean, really every week last year, we had a chance to win most weeks. It's just whether we took ourselves out of it through mistakes or not. And so far this year, knock on wood, we have been good on the mistake front. So, we haven't had that dominant car like we've had during some races last year yet. Other than Daytona, I thought our car was very, very good. But, we just been hanging around that second, third, fourth all year. So it's a good start because, we got something to build on here.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take our next question from Michael Knight. Go ahead, Michael. Michael, can you hear us? I think you're on mute.
How about now?
Yep, you're good.
There you go.
Apologize for that. Question for both Joey and Denny. Joey, when you won this race last year, I asked you about if you thought that the drivers and the people in the garage area were taking a sigh of relief in terms of how competitive the track would be for the championship race. And you kind of had a memorable quote about you thought everybody was taking a sigh of relief. After today, what are your expectations or concerns about the competitiveness of the track, PJ1, this tire, the package in general for November?
I'd say, I think you'll probably expect the same thing you saw last year. The tire has a decent amount of fall off, which presents an opportunity for some strategy. As we saw today, if the caution comes out 5 to 10 laps into a run, it creates quite the question on what to do. So that's a good thing to where it's not just a no-brainer type of pit call. So I like how that kind of splits the field up. So that part's good. I think fastest car is able to win the race. And I think that's happened probably the last 3 or 4 times here. The fastest car has won, and I think that's fair. That's what we all want. But it is the opportunity to make something happen. If you're in the hunt towards the end and you have a good pit stop or have a good restart, like you can do some big moves as well. So I think the track's pretty racy. I think it definitely evolves throughout the race as the traction compound wears off. That definitely changes what you need in your race car as you tune your car. And the tire itself, like I said, it has some fall off. I still get these weird vibrating runs. I don't know what that is. That one cost us a championship, and I got another one today. So I feel like we're definitely looking at to the tire for sure.
Denny, what do you think about that?
I don't know. I'm more of a probably a purist on these short tracks. It's the dominant lane. I don't know that, originally when PJ1 came out, it was meant to be an option. When you come up on lap traffic or when you come up on a car and you're faster, it's an option to try to get around. It's the dominant lane here at this racetrack. Again, you run in and out of it at times, but still, as long as if it doesn't wear off, it's the fastest way around the racetrack. And I don't know, the first time here they had it higher, and we used the bottom mostly and just used the top every now and then. And they sprayed it just a little bit lower for the championship race, I believe. And it just, I don't know. I mean, we've seen you take some still pictures of, pretty much all the races, and everyone's just kind of running in a train up top. So I don't know. But I also agree with Joey as well that, the fastest car has won for last handful of races. So, but if you put Martin in traffic, I don't know, he might have got around. I'm not sure, but I guess I'm indifferent on it is the long answer, but I prefer it be probably a little bit higher and less grippy.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll take our next question from Lee Spencer. Go ahead, Lee.
Thank you. Joey, I hate to beat a dead horse, but to follow up on the vibration, you told the team that it was as bad as it was in the fall. You also said, I believe, earlier in the week on radio that it was vibrating so bad at times in the fall that you couldn't see. What do you guys have to do to get this car in order or, try to figure this out so when you do come back, if you're part of the championship force, not something that keeps you up at night?
Yeah, it's definitely keeping me up right now. I wish I knew what it is. A lot of times, you change the tires and it goes away. So, it's not a loose wheel. We don't believe it's a misbalanced tire or wheel either. Not sure what it is, but when it happens, it's the lights shut off for a little bit and the car goes backwards quickly. So it cost us a championship, and it didn't cost us the race today, but we lost some track position, in the beginning of the final stage here. So I don't know. I wish I knew what the answer was on that, but I don't know. Maybe we can take a look at it and cut the tire apart. I don't know how you fix it. I'm not a tire engineer, but I don't know if it's consistent through the field and if other cars had the issues or not. I know a lot of cars had it in the fall race. I know my teammate had it in the fall race as well. So just something we need to look into, at least try to find the answer. I don't know if we have the capabilities to fix it. I think it might be out of our hands, but at least try to help find it.
Appreciate your time. Safe travels.
All right, we'll take our next question from Jeff Gluck. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, for both of you, I'm curious, they got to the 1.5 mile tracks and it was like there was these underdogs and surprises running up front and different names. Then you get to the first short track and it's like, well, it was just all the usual suspects for the most part all day. No surprises, no underdogs. Any reason for the difference, you think?
I'll let Denny speak to it too, but I think, the 750 package is harder to drive. And I think experience probably comes out more. There's different techniques that I think the experienced guys have learned over the years, racing cars that don't have much downforce and a lot of horsepower. When you come to a short track, there's comers and goers, and knowing, how to go fast in the short run versus the long run. And, Denny's probably one of the best at figuring that balance out. And I think, probably that experience, behind the wheel helps, and kind of knowing what you need in your race car to go fast as well, and giving that right information. So probably experience comes into play more, just because it's something that we've done a lot the last, forever.
Denny, can you add on that? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I think, we ran, most of the experienced guys, the guys that have been around for 4+ years, ran this whole package in 2017. So if you've got less experience than that, this is kind of a new thing for you, other than, we cut the spoilers off on the short track last year. So I agree with Joey, just you kind of build a notebook on it. You understand how to, manipulate the car when it's not handling perfectly. You can move your line around and change some things. That's stuff that takes experience. I think that experience in this sport is just so underrated, simply because you see so many things. We've all been through tire changes, car changes, aerodynamic changes, track changes that, we're ahead of the game, I guess you could say, especially now that we have no practice. It lends itself even more to experience. So I definitely agree with that take.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll take our next question from Mark Darrow. Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you. I've got one for Joey and one for Denny. First off, Denny, your thoughts on, or do you have any thoughts on, it was late in the race, Bubba stayed out, and you guys had a little bit of a chance to race together, and your thoughts on your car with Bubba up there running up near the front?
Yeah, I think there was only 10 laps on this time. I probably would have agreed with that call, and I don't know where he netted out on that, but I knew taking off was going to be the biggest challenge. I thought once he got through the first couple corners, he was going to be fine, but I think that, he's one of those drivers. I think if you can put him up front somehow, some way, and it's probably likely going to happen more on like a 750 track, he'll be a hard guy to pass. And I was racing with him there, but I was just trying to figure out how I could get around him just as quick as I could, because I know I was in a very important part of the race. But I don't know where they finished, but I think they had a solid day. They had some decent speed, my team said. So it was good. Again, we were pouring the concrete of the foundation for that team over there. We got a long way to go, but we're working really hard to get them in a position by fall where they're competing inside the top 10 on a regular basis.
And Joey, your thoughts on, as a veteran driver, you've been through this before, to have a car that led all the laps and it just kind of slips away at the end. Just your thoughts about that happening again today, and just how frustrating is that?
It's frustrating in some ways, and in other ways you got to look at the positives and move forward. And I'm usually the one that's going to probably beat myself up a little bit on the parts where we missed it, but the positives will momentum going. So we need to just move on after we figure out where we made mistakes today. So as far as positives, boy, I couldn't be more prouder of our pit crew today. They're animals. So that's great. They really kept us in the race when we started to lose a little bit of handling in our car. And I'm not even sure if we were a few balance adjustments off the beating at 19. He was fast. And it really, like I said earlier, it started to show, the end of the second stage where he ran us down from 4 seconds. And it's okay. He's going to be really quick. I was just hoping on the short run that maybe I can get him on the short run there. But once he got out a second ahead of me, he went to cruise control and started saving his stuff. So, like I said, we're just not fast enough right now. That's probably the biggest thing that stands out. We were able to get our balance pretty close after the second run of the race. it seemed like the 19 and even the 11 at times just were able to roll in more speed and have more rear grip and still be able to turn. So just had more overall. So got to go working for that. That's a hard thing to find, by the way.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take our next question from Dustin Long. Go ahead, Dustin.
Thank you. I'll just make this for Denny. Certainly, this place has been a track position type of track in years past. I'm just curious if you see that evolving with the PJ1. Obviously, we saw Chase go from the back to the front win last year. The 9 and the 5 both had to go from the back a couple times. I just didn't know if the track is evolving or just a case those cars are just so strong.
It's tough to say. I mean, I think that if you get the lead and you've got the next fastest car behind you, the next fastest car has to wait 20 laps, 25 laps for the pace really to lose a half a second because, again, the dominant line is running around the top in the PJ1. So it's very difficult. So when we were running around the bottom here, you could force the guy off the bottom. You could pack air and really kind of force the leader off the bottom, and you could get position. Next thing you know, you're in the bottom in 3 and 4. That's where you want to be. You complete the pass. Here, you have to run in their wake because most of the time you're just worried about losing a position if someone's right behind you. You don't even want to make a move to run low and make a move on the leader because you're likely to lose a spot. So the fast car can get to the front, but he needs long runs to do it.
You seem to be, though, at times able to use the bottom pretty well and cut down there, maybe more so than others, especially the first part of the race. That looked to be about as strong as any car out there. So that's why I was kind of curious about what you were seeing on that track, or that's something you feel like you guys kind of hit on, but maybe kind of went away as the race went on.
Yeah, maybe went away a little bit, but not bad. Again, the tire is kind of weird. You just don't want to run a whole lot in the rubber that gets laid down. But the bottom lane, I mean, yeah, you can run fast for a couple laps, but it just heats up everything so much that you can't sustain it. You can use it to try to complete a pass. That's the thing. Most of these passes were all slide jobs. It was all just overdriving the entry just to, get position and clear yourself. So, not a lot of passes were made because you just got a good run off the corner. You went down low in the next corner at a reasonable speed and you cleared them. You had to drive in there at an unreasonable speed and cut off the person and behind you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take our next question from Jesse Morrison. Go ahead.
Hey, Denny, this one's for you. Just can you speak on your teammate getting a victory after, a long streak of losses and then, just not winning for a while, ever here at Phoenix?
Yeah, I mean, the 19's had a good car. Their short track program, I think that they stand out to me as one of our best short track teams at JGR. I mean, it was encouraging for me that we did run in the top 5 all day. The 19 ran the top 5 all day, because we were not good on the short tracks last year. In 2019, I think our worst finish in the 11 on a short track was 4th or maybe 5th. We had all top 5s at every short track. And then last year if we could run 6th or 7th, it was probably a decent day for us. So hopefully this is a sign that we kind of worked on the right things and we're heading in the right direction. But it's good for him for winning. I wish it was me.
All right, we're going to take our next question from John Haverling. Go ahead, John.
Thank you. For Denny, I was just kind of curious how your career has been different this year compared to previous now that you're a team owner.
Ask your question again.
I was just kind of curious how this year has been different for you in your career than previous years now that you're a co-owner of a team.
Just no days off. I mean, typically, when I was just a driver, it was I would get, between Tuesday afternoon and Thursday night to Friday morning off. I mean, relatively off. maybe a few things here and there, but now those are the middle part of the week is really where I focus on 2311 and go to the shop and talk to the team and the engineers and the crew chiefs and figure out how we can be better. What do we need to go faster? Where do we feel like this is such a growing process for everyone. Everyone's working together for the first time. This is a new team. This is not a inherited team. This is a team built from scratch. So, it's a building process, and they're trying not to overload Bubba with too much information because he's got already so much he has to learn on a weekly basis. And I try to do everything I can to help, curb that learning curve. If I can help him out and give him some advice on a track that's coming up, some notes out of the book that, I keep, and then hopefully maybe it's a help to him.
Denny?
Yeah.
All right, and we've got time for one more question. We are going to go to Chris Knight. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, for Joey and Denny, you guys can talk about how different this race would have been today without the traction compound.
Well, that's probably $1 million question, trying to know that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the last time we ran without the traction compound, we had big spoilers on the car, and it was really bad. I think the thing we fixed the most was taking the spoiler off the car and creating a smaller wake and being able to, manipulate other people's cars by, stacking air on them or whatever. And that created a lot of passing. So I think the best adjustment has definitely been, taking the spoilers off the car for the short tracks and adding horsepower. What would it be like if you didn't have the traction compound? I don't know. It's either your dominant lane is going to be on the bottom or your dominant lane is going to be up in the PJ1. To pick your poison. I don't know. I mean, you got to eventually look at it and say, was the racing good today? Yes. Did the fastest car win? Yes. That must mean that there must be some passing out there. Yes, you got to be patient because if you make a move and you're not able to clear him, you're probably going to lose a spot. But that's part of the game. So I'd be hard to say that we shouldn't have it. I'm kind of a fan of it personally, thinking that it actually, I think it helps the racing and widens the group out. And, towards late in the race, it's pretty good.
Denny?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we started using it for a reason. The tracks weren't getting the passing that they wanted. I think the absolute need for it at some tracks. I'm 50-50 on it here, but it absolutely has helped racing at some racetracks that we've gone to. So I don't know. Hard for me to make a case for it or against it, to be honest with you. So we'll just keep digging and keep learning, and we'll try to put on the best race we possibly can, no matter what the conditions.
Thank you both.
All right.
Thank you.
Joey and Denny, thank you guys so much for taking some time with us. Congratulations on the second and third finishes, and we'll see you in Atlanta.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.